All be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music.
It's time to turn off that, and it's time to turn up the volume and listen to Auto Dealer Live.
Repeat after me.
Auto Dealer Live.
Well, it's that time again. It's that time again. It's time for Auto Dealer Live. I'm David Villa, your host, and I'm excited to be with you today, Thursday, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time here in Florida, in Tampa, Florida, airing out of IPD Studios. And I'm Martin. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
I'm glad, man. I am excited about today's show. I hope you are as well. You fired up about today's show?
Yes, sir.
Well, good thing, man.
Some
It's
fire and ice.
Fire and ice. Fire and ice. I get two elements. You know what I mean? You need both of them. You know, one's not better than the other. I mean, when it's hot outside, and us Floridians, you know, us Floridians know about heat. I mean, it's hotter than 3 fat devils, man, down here in the summer.
That's right.
In August, and so us Floridians know about the heat. And when it's hot outside, and you have a nice cold drink, right? You don't want hot tea. You know what I mean? I don't want warm beer. I want something nice. I want ice in my drink. You know what I'm saying? I want it on the rocks, baby. I want ice in my tea or whatever it is. So ice is good. And us Floridians know about that. Sometimes, man, you know, as a kid, I grew up in the Tampa, Florida area, and man, playing football out in the sand lot. You know, it gets hot. Playing basketball every Tuesday night, man. You know, there's some of the guys here, some of our team. I get some of the managers and some of the guys from our company, and we go play basketball, probably 15 of us or so. We go out and play basketball every Tuesday night. It's hot. We're sweating. Let me tell you something. I don't want anybody putting anything hot on me, but I want them to dump ice on me, man. You know, there's times where you want to stick your head under a cold shower, or I just go home and dive in my pool. So ice is good. Mm-hmm. And then you know, some of you guys that are listening, you know, you're up in Michigan, or you're up in the Northeast, or you know, even down here, us Floridians, we have thin skin, man. We're so used to the summer. It gets 45 degrees, and we're like shivering, putting jackets and sweaters on. Listen, I don't want anything cold to drink. I want to go to Starbucks, and I want to get my 5-shot Grande Americano, man. I want it to be hot. I want it to be so hot that my lips are quivering when I'm going to put it in my mouth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So fire is good. I was camping. We took my family camping this past weekend, took my kids, let them know what it's like to be old school a little bit, and we had fun. We were sitting around a campfire, man, and fire is good. Mosquitoes didn't bother you. So fire and ice, elements, brother. I'm excited about the show today. I'm excited about who we have on the show today. And we've got some old school, some new school, but all together, I want to set this up. In a few minutes, we're going to bring them on in about 8 or 9 minutes. But I want to set them up. And I want to tell you guys this, that we have some car guys nonetheless on the show. We've got General Sales Manager Marsh Bice from Mark Dodge over in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and great car guy. We have Chris Vitale, and if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. I'm going to get it the correct spelling. If it's Vitale, I want to find out, yeah, baby, if he's related to one of my favorite basketball commentators of all time.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Mr. Dick Vitale. You know, I don't know. I don't know if he is or not, but if I had that last name, I certainly would tell people I was. So, Chris, it might be Vitale, but it's Vitale or Vitale from, he's a vice president of sales of iMagic Lab. They're a company who services the automotive industry. Chris has come out of the car business. He's going to be talking about CRMs, and there's kind of a little bit of a debate we got going on. Chris is CEO. Richard Lampman actually kind of started this and so forth on Twitter a week ago or so. We have Matt Lasco, Vice President of Lasco Ford in Fenton, Michigan. He's going to be on the show as well. Awesome car guy. We have Bobby Collins, General Sales Manager of Coconut Point Ford down in Estero or Fort Myers, Florida. He's going to be on the show. And we have Kamani Pitkin, if I said that correctly. He's a Director of Operations for a company called Dealer Checker. He's going to be on with us. So we just got an outstanding show. These guys are going to be on the show, and I'm going to basically try my best to referee, moderate, ask questions, and back up and get out of the way. So if you're looking at the camera, you're going to be looking at me going like this. And you're going to be listening to 5 people that know what they're talking about. So I'm excited about the show. Before we talk about opportunity, I do want to just tell you about an opportunity that you do not want to miss. Okay? We have the one, the only Grant Cardone that's going to be with us October 31st, 2 weeks from today, right now. Exactly 2 weeks from right now, we're going to be talking to Grant Cardone. He doesn't need an introduction. We're going to give him a great one that day. But this guy's the guru of sales training. He's a motivator of motivators. And Grant's going to be with us. I'm extremely excited about the show. I'm extremely humbled and honored to have Grant on. Grant is a business guy. He's a guy who understands what it is like and what it means to win. He's going to be on the show. And we've got some great guests. I already have some lined up, even though they're going to be calling in live. And I wanted to say that because we have some outstanding car guys that have never been on the show before. Some have, but a lot of those who have asked, hey, listen, I've got a question for Grant. We got some guys that are part of big groups. We got some A-level executives in the car business. We have some salespeople. We have some general sales managers. They're going to be calling in. You could call in. And listen, we bought 20 books. Grant Sell to Survive audio and book package. Grant has signed them. We're going to be giving 20 of those away for to our listeners that day. We've got a great show. You don't want to miss it. That's on the October 31st at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. Before we bring our guest on really quick, I want to talk to you about opportunity for a couple minutes. I did a sales meeting, and this has also gone out into our training system where I've talked about opportunity. And I want to read you 7 quick definitions of what an opportunity is. And I want you to think of, you shaking hands with your customer. And I want you to not view them as a nuisance or view them as, a negative, or view them as, now this person's going to take work or whatever it is. I want you to view them as one of these 7 things. Hello, my name is. Okay, they're an opportunity. And here's the deal. Opportunity is necessary for you and I to succeed. Your success and my success depends on opportunities. And opportunity simply means these things: an appropriate or favorable time or occasion, a situation or condition that's favorable for attainment of a goal. If you have goals out there, you're already in the top 3% of the world. Well, guess what? You can have an opportunity that's a situation or condition that's favorable to help you attain that goal. That's an opportunity. Opportunity is a good position, chance, or prospect for advancing success. That's awesome. I want to advance my success, so I'm looking for opportunities. An opportunity is a set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. Okay? If you want to go somewhere and you want to do something, you want to be something, then you need an opportunity. An opportunity is a set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. Number 5, a favorable or advantageous. You're in the advantage seat when you look at it that way, okay? Circumstance or combination of circumstances. So here's the deal. That tells me that, I've got to put myself in the advantage, that I got to put myself in the position to win, that opportunity is not going to find me unless I'm out trying to find it, okay? It's not luck. You don't just stumble into them, and by sitting on your couch eating bonbons. You got to get up and you got to make something happen. All right. One of my favorite quotes says it this way: work usually is ignored by people because it's dressed in overalls. All right. Success is usually ignored because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. I'm sorry, I messed it up. Number 6, a favorable or suitable occasion of time. Number 7, a change for progress or advancement. You got to change. You got to be willing to change. And today's show is all about change. Today's show. And listen, on both sides of the aisle, whether you're fire or whether you're ice, nobody has all the answers. Everybody has some of them. We're better together, and we're only going to succeed together. We can't isolate anybody, and we've got to embrace them. And these guys that are coming on the show today are all about embracing. But they are opinionated, and they're successful. And I want to hear both sides, so I'm excited. Here's the quote I'm going to leave you with before we take a break, and we're going to be right back with our guest. There's an island of opportunity in the middle of every difficulty. Mm-hmm. Martin, before we go to break, baby, what's trending?
American Electric Car Company, Fisker, heads to auction. The United States Department of Energy is accepting bids from companies interested in taking over the remains of Fisker. 2015 Chevrolet Impala to gain bi-fuel gasoline CNG-capable V6 model. That change is for 2015, when Chevrolet will introduce a bi-fuel Impala capable of switching on the fly between gasoline and natural gas fuel sources. Camaro Z28 sets speedy ring time. That's right, the Z28 is back. It beat Porsche, Lamborghini, and Ferrari at the Nürburgring lap. Chevrolet is the latest brand to brag about a 7-minute-something lap time on Germany's 12.9-mile course. It beat out the Camaro ZL1, it beat out the Ford Mustang, and the Shelby GT500. Of course, the Camaro Z28 is nowhere near Porsche's all-time record for a production road car. And that's the news.
And that's what's trending.
Dave, we also have this week, I have a little top 10
Come on.
top 10 list. And what it's going to be the top 10 cars in 2013 that no one is buying.
So the top 10 cars in
It's-
2013 that no one is buying.
Yeah, you might not want to be on this list.
Uh-oh. Okay, hopefully.
So
all
we'll
right.
start from number 10.
Okay.
Number 10, the Volvo XC90. Number 9, the Land Rover LR2. Number 8, the Nissan Maxima. Number 7, Nissan Murano. That's 2 Nissans. Number 6, the Acura MDX. Number 5, the Infiniti EX. Number 4, the Acura ILX. Number 3, the Mitsubishi Lancer. Number 2, the Volvo C30. And are you ready for number 1?
The number one car that nobody's buying.
The number 1 car that no one is buying is the Acura TSX Sport Wagon.
Man, it's not good to be Acura
Station
Nissan
wagon.
right now, huh? they beat that list out. Well, man, hopefully we didn't offend anybody, but if we did, hey, we're just reading the news, baby. Thank you, Martin. That's what's trending. We're going to be right back. Don't you go anywhere. We've got a packed lineup, power-packed lineup of guys that are ready to debate their knowledge in the car business. You don't go anywhere. We're listening to Auto Dealer Live. I'm David Villa. We'll be right back.
Any company out there can sell you direct mail, but only at IPD does your direct mail become intelligent. We have revolutionized automotive direct mail by implementing today's cutting-edge tracking and response technology. However, to simply stop there is just not smart. Introducing Smart Mail 2.0. With our Smart Mail 2.0, we begin with a phone call the day before your mail is to be delivered to give top-of-mind awareness so that they will be on the lookout for it. The next day, when your mail arrives and is opened, they will see that they have a variety of different ways to contact us. With our smart components, we have set up your mailer to maximize a response. You have the 24/7 toll-free number, personalized URL, texting, select mail, and QR code. We also have our program's Right Track. IPD's Right Track program revolutionized the credit mail industry. We have launched a department that will take every person that isn't able to purchase a vehicle through our Equifax Smart Mail program and assist them in rebuilding, repairing, and restoring their credit. Within a few short weeks, they will be sent back into your dealership with the ability to purchase the vehicle. Also, we have Social Frenzy. IPD's latest smart component is taking automotive direct mail to a whole new level. We prompt every person that responds to like and then share your dealership's Facebook page. That's right, we incentivize your mail recipient to share your page with their friends. We upload a customized video and banner page to your Facebook, and our BDC then drives traffic to your page using the very friends of your potential customers. It begins with the mail responders, and before you know it, becomes a social frenzy, reaching thousands with your page. We also have our Second Win mailer, which takes that letter sent out 2 weeks after the initial mailer hits home to give that person a second chance to come in. IPD has one of the most advanced automotive call centers that specialize in converting calls, emails, and text into credit applications. With all the leads that turn into appointments scheduled, that will lead to more ups and a better chance to increase your sales and ROI. Your appointment shows up with his mailer or Second Win offer ready to talk to you about a car. Once the specifics are all finalized, you have a happy and satisfied customer, and so is your month. Smart Mail 2.0, 70% technology, 30% mail created specifically to maximize your ability to sell cars.
Get smart!
4,600 dealer clients worldwide. We've had the privilege of speaking at 7 NADA conventions, various 20 groups, and state associations. And I'm happy to say that I'm speaking again at next year's NADA in New Orleans. I hope you'll join me. The Marquis Group has a full range of automotive training products for sales, sales management, F&I, service advisors, receptionists, and more. We do in-dealership training and have DVDs, CDs, and an online training program called eautotraining.com, which has over 450 videos, role-play scenarios, testing, and printable course material to enhance the learning experience and provide accountability. To learn more about the Marquis Group and how we can help your dealership, please call 888-300-4629 or visit our website at www.marquis.
We're back. This is David Villa, and you've been listening to Auto Dealer Live, and we are excited about today's show. We're calling it Fire and Ice, the great automotive debate, and we are down one guest, and he's going to be calling in. He actually is doing more important things. He's actually taking a TO. I think he's on a sales call. So we're out Marsh Bice, the GSM of Mark Chrysler Dodge Jeep, but on the show, on the phone right now. And I'm going to try my best, guys, to get your names correct. We have Chris Vitale. Did I say it right, Chris?
Yep.
All right. Chris Vitale is the Vice President of Sales of iMagic Lab. And on the phone, we have Matt Lasco, Vice President of Lasco Ford and Lasco Grand Blanc in Michigan. Matt, how are you today?
Real good, David. Thanks for having us on.
Hey, no problem, no problem. Thanks for being on. We have Kamani Pitkin. Kamani, did I say your name correctly?
You sure did.
Great. You are the Director of Operations for Dealer Checker, dealerchecker.com. And Kamani, I appreciate you being on. And we have Bobby Collins. No problem, man. We have Bobby Collins, the General Manager of Coconut Point 4 down in Ostero, Fort Myers, Florida. Bobby, are you with us?
Yes, David. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. And I know you're busy, and I know you're in the middle of your day, so I appreciate you guys being on the show. And we're going to jump right in and jump right to it. You guys are all over the country, and I'm excited about today's show as well as our listeners. And I think Marsh hopefully will join us here shortly. But I've got to bring up, I want to bring up what kind of prompted this show. And I want to say this, and I said this, guys, before you came on. If you were listening, you would have heard me say this, but I want to say it for your benefit and for the listeners that we have professionals on the phone, guys. We have guys that really honestly love the car business. Every one of the guys on the phone have been in the car business directly behind the desk and have served the industry. All right, guys, we're live back again. Sorry about the glitch. We had a voicemail on the air, so we're back on, and we actually have Marsh Bice join us on the air. Marsh, are you with us?
I am here.
I was telling the guys and the listeners that you had important business. I heard you were on a TO or actually on a sales call, so that takes precedence, my friend.
Just trying to make sure that I get another 30 days here, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I was getting ready to say, and so I'll kind of jump in here. The conversation that I want to bring up, because it's the elephant in the room, and I think this will help start the debate, and I think debate is good for the car business because we have this old school versus new school mentality, and I think if I had to kind of define it, knowing the guys that are in this phone call right now, it's the car guy, and it's the challenge of the car business, how it's always been in trying to bring in maybe a new dynamic into the car business without taking what I think makes the heart of the car business beat. And so, Chris, your CEO, Richard Lappman, sent a tweet out here. I have it in front of me that, and he sent it out, and Matt Lasco responded to it, and he said this quote. He said, "Aren't you car dealers tired of this?" And he said, "October 8th, it all ends." And on the photo of the tweet, there was a picture, I guess, that he had taken of a Foursquare, and then Matt Lasco sent back and said, "Actually, a handwritten Foursquare makes my heart rate rise. Let them write their own deal. Hashtag long live Foursquare." Now, And then he copied Grant Cardone and Jim Ziegler and different ones like that, and it started kind of going back and forth, and just different ones jumped in. I'm going to ask you, Chris, I know you're not Richard, but on their behalf, what do you think that why do you think that caused such a controversy? And because other GMs jumped in, I had emails and different ones that have said things. Why did that cause a controversy, in your opinion?
Well, a lot of people make, a great living doing things the way they're doing them, and if it's not broken, don't fix it is the mentality, right? So I used a Foursquare for 10 years, and it served me well. There was a numbers presentation prior to a Foursquare. The Foursquare was an evolution of its time, and what we're developing, what we've developed and launched, we believe is the next evolution beyond that. So it's not that it's going to necessarily replace the Foursquare. It's going to create a more dynamic mechanism in which to present the Foursquare, because the tool itself can print out a Foursquare just easier with rates, residuals, incentives, money factors, everything all inclusive in the tool without having to go look at an invoice book, look at a rate sheet, do everything that you need to do on the desk. It's cutting down that time to take a first pencil out to a guest. Okay.
Matt, and I think sometimes, I'm a big proponent. I tell my wife this. I tell my employees this, because sometimes, we're email or we're tweeting things. I think sometimes in writing, it's a lot. Obviously, it's not as easy, especially something limited to a tweet where you're limited to characters, a maximum characters. It's hard to really get a message, maybe what you mean. And I understand that possibly he wasn't dogging a Foursquare, but that's kind of what happened. And I'm going to ask Matt in a minute, but nonetheless, it's sparked a debate that I think is at the forefront of the car business. And here's the thing. I mean, I sell car dealers, okay? And in our program, programs we offer, I mean, I've owned this company that here for almost 18 years, and obviously my product looks different. So I believe, and I know every guy on this panel believes in growth, but I guess I still sell car dealers. And so I don't call them up and I don't say, hey, Bobby, how you doing? Listen, man, you suck. And I'm not saying you did this. I'm just saying I think that there's a dynamic that has to be solved in order for the car business to maybe embrace a product. And I think that's where it is. Hey, Bobby, listen, what you're doing really sucks. I was always taught not to insult a buying decision. So let me kind of, before I ask Matt, because I know Matt's the guy that answered the question, but I want to ask Bobby. Bobby, why do you think that possibly, saying, aren't you car dealers tired of this? Why would that spark a controversy? Or why would that spark maybe a little feather ruffle?
It's almost like you're talking about our stores. And I'll tell you a little bit about, ours. We're part of an auto group. We've got the bigger Galloway store on the other side. It's got a new GM. He came down, and he's kind of a bean counter type of guy, and that's his philosophy. It's fine, but he loved my Foursquare, but he wanted to put it in printing to where it spit it out, like kind of what he said, with a bunch of interest rates and a bunch of factors and everything. And hey, that's what he wants to do, and that's fine. We still have our Foursquare where we let the salesman. They dictate the whole deal. It's not the desk; it's the salesman, because we all were trained the business the wrong way. We as salespeople, when we first started the car business, we were taught to ask the customer how much they want for their trade. That's the stupidest question I've ever heard in my life. What the salesman does, he gets wholesale auction prices, and we share it with the customer. And then we also ask the customer how much money we want to put down. That's what we used to do. Now we share with the customer. Banks would like to see at least 20%, because there's not a single bank in the world that would like to see 20% down. So we write that number to get a reaction out of the customer. A computer printout's not going to do that. And I'm telling you right now, we also run the payment down. The salesman does it, times it by 3. There's not a term. We're just saying your payment's going to be about this range on a short-term payment. We don't disclose 36 months at 1.9, 2.9, 3.9, so we're not payment packing. We're just saying about approximately that payment. Now, on the other side of the street, where the nice little computerized generated menu comes out, I get those daily over here. We beat the pants off of them, and we're running $4,200 a rattle, and they're running $12. Hello? Okay, that's what it's about. That's what pays the mortgage. That's what pays all the software. So I think the handwritten, the people being involved, the salesman being involved with numbers and scratching it out, making it happen. That's real world, and it takes talent to do that. Okay, so I disagree 100% with some software, and I can prove it right here. The proof is in the pudding between these two stores and the gross profits for both of them.
Well, the one counter to that I would just interject is, I don't know a state that it's legal to not disclose a term on a pencil sheet, and you can obviously do that whether it be handwritten or otherwise. But I mean, the biggest auto retailer in the world uses a numbers presentation that's computer generated as well. So I mean, they can't be wrong.
Well, no, I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm saying that we also do it too. But when the salesman is basically ballparking a payment, this is not from F&I. This is not from the desk. And we're not in finance. My people are not finance savvy to be able to know what rate this bank is going to give them. You know, so we're saying on a short-term basis based on average rates is what it is. It's times it by 3 on a short-term payment. That's not
sure. I mean, you can just take the first 2 numbers of the window sticker, double them, add a 0, and there's your payment. And that usually come in with all kind of lag too.
It takes a little bit more art than that. I mean, I'm telling someone right now, toe to toe. You know a lot more about software and making this, and your iPhone looks a lot better than mine. But I bet you I can sell a lot more cars than you can, and that's what we're talking about: selling cars, making profit.
Well, with that being said, Matt, I'll let you jump in here, and I'm gonna
come on down here. Come on, I'll put you on floor for a week, and me and you go toe to toe. Giddy up.
Let's, Matt, you said.
Hey, David, I'm ready when you are.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, let's talk, okay? Anybody remember the lease software company that was out 20 years ago, the guaranteed rates and residuals? Anybody have Reynolds and Reynolds that offered auto pencil? The day of an electric pencil came out 10 years ago, okay? And the reason that they never worked is because the electric pencil was designed to make a deal faster and give a quote faster and give someone 12 payments right away and give them a buy and a lease. What they found is the information overload created conversations that a salesperson could never handle. And just like Bobby said, a salesperson is not a finance person or a desk person that's going to hang a deal. And the second you start to put 1.9% for 42 months on the payment, and then this much down, and then they come back and they don't get the 1.9% because we quoted them with it on there, and they get 4.8% because they had a high LTV, or the credit score, even though it showed a 720, didn't have 2 auto loans that were in the market for over a year. Then I'm backpedaling to 4.9% and having to sell backwards when I get into finance. So,
and then you're also having to send out a compliance letter. Because, to make yourself think. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'll tell you another thing. These computer people try to make selling cars so much quicker. Well, Saturn came out with one pricing. How'd that work out for them? Pay stickers quicker. It didn't work out very well for Saturn, did it?
Well, and my thing is this. A Foursquare is more than just the numbers. And as far as speed, our dealership, we don't even need the appraisal completed before we can give you your first pencil. It's very simple. It's so structured and so matrixed and so compliant because actually, Chris, just so you understand, term does not have to be disclosed on first pencil. That's part of compliance. The key to compliance is in what state?
What's that, Chris?
In almost every state. You can check California, but almost every state does not have to have a term disclosed at first payment. However, you can also not quote a payment with lag or anything else involved in it, but the difference being is if you desk every deal off of a matrix, as we do, based on a credit score and a year of a vehicle, and the first pencil is done the same time every single time, then you are compliant. And if the interest rate ends up coming in less and the payment lowers, then there's opportunity. But the big thing I want to explain here is that everybody's missing, in my opinion, in the third-party auto payment process. You're not creating a discussion, and you're not making the customer feel like they're every other customer. So when we go through a Foursquare, and our first pencil says, now, Mr. Customer, we've seen 2007 Impalas like yours come in this trade as low as $5,500 and as high as $7,500. We've also worked this deal up with 20% down to save you the most interest, and we've also done it on a shorter-term loan to put you in the best position of the vehicle. And as you can see here, MSRP was $29.99, and you save $4,000 off your rebate. I now have 4 topics to talk about. When I come out with 62 payments and 72 down payments and 42 different leaseways, I can't talk about anything other than all the shit that's on the paper. The Foursquare allows me to get a reaction out of the customer on a trade-in, allows me to get a reaction about their down payment, It allows me to find their payment goal without having to drop my pants at my ankles the first pencil. And I think that's what gets missed when we try to triple payment that.
And I am.
But I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I think the focus is a little misguided here. The whether it be a Foursquare or a step presentation or a multi-payment menu presentation, whatever strikes your fancy. I'm not saying to not use it. I'm not saying change the presentation. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is having more information available to you at the desk and having it available to you quickly and in a logical format.
I understand what you're saying is no software company ever is regional based, though. You're not going to have the FDAF $500 rebate that is on Focus that is only in the outstate Michigan dealers and not available to the Detroit dealers. So what you're trying to automate...
Let me break in.
Program.
Let me break in here for just one.
It's the same based on zip code. It's regional. It's regional now.
Let me break in here for just 1 second because somebody's trying to say something.
They're not going to pull AX and Z plan and tier 2 information for the customer.
Hey guys, let me break in here for 1 second, only because
you're overdoing it.
Hey Chris,
they're not car people. They don't know what the hell a lease factor is. You ever tried to explain a lease factor, Chris?
I'm not saying. No. You're misunderstanding. I'm not saying to give that information to the customer a printout. I'm not saying that. You could if you wanted.
Well, remember, this whole conversation was sparked because your CEO thought he'd make fun of one of his clients who uses handwritten Foursquares with a green marker.
Remember this. Right. So we're not talking about anything about your tool. This is not here to advertise your tool. This is here. It's not here to advertise your tool. It's here to discuss the fact that a handwritten Foursquare can sell 500 vehicles a month in a 12,000 person city. That's what we're talking about.
I don't think you understand. It's not a question of whether or not the Foursquare works. It's not a question of that at all.
Well, hang on. You guys called us dinosaurs. You said, when are we going to get out of the dinosaur age and quit handwriting a Foursquare?
Well,
right?
actually,
the handwritten part and all the scribbles, the handwritten part of the scribbles, I don't think that.
You know what fun it was for me? I just went down and bought a 2014 Mastercraft X46, and I traded in my 07, and I let them work just like a car deal, and I got my $47,000 off of MSRP on it. Right? Don't we wish we had that markup, guys?
Yeah,
and
right.
Guess what? The guy came out with a printed piece of paper, and guess what I did as a customer? Because I'm a customer now. I grabbed this piece of paper, I flipped it around, and I wrote all over it. Well, I think you're going to need to get more here on my trade. I think you're going to need a bigger discount here, and I'm not going to give you any money down because my trade's paid for. I enjoyed it as a customer because guess what I did? I wrote my own car deal. So, no, I don't get to flip around a computer screen and say, type your car deal in, Mr. Customer. So I don't have a problem with the handwritten Foursquare because they get to interact with us. And everybody wants to interact. If you go to the Apple Store, there's a reason that every product is available to touch. They want you to interact. Your emotions get involved. You start to commit to the product as you use it. Well, that's what a Foursquare does. Mr. Customer, if you could write your own price on here, what would it be? $12,000. If you could write your own trade value, what it would be? $6,000. How much down is comfortable for you, Mr. Customer? This is with $3,000 down. You said you want a lower payment. Could you do half? Great. And if the payment was less, would you? Well, they just personally said their price, said their trade, said their down, and said their payment. So whether I can attain it or not, they started to say they would buy the car if. And that's why I believe the handwritten Foursquare will never die. Until Mr. Obama forces it,
I'm not agree with him 100%, Pierre. The Foursquare has always been around. It will always work. I train, when we go out to train dealerships out here from David Gottstein Inc., we go out, we train them. The difference is sometimes you go to a dealership and you'll see them send a Foursquare out with that salesperson that's a green pea and they have no clue how to work a Foursquare. But the Foursquare will always work. That's how we see it here at David Gottstein Inc.
Who is it? Is this Kamani?
Because we get to interact. If the interaction never works with a customer, dealers that try to do kiosk would still be in business.
Hey, is
that level work?
Kamani is
interact. They want to be able to put in that square, the down payment that you came back at, and say, well, listen, if I put this down instead of what you have in your Foursquare, I see you guys are talking about Foursquare with rates and stuff in it. You know, I've never taught any of our guys when we go out for trading to put a rate or any type of thing in for the Foursquare.
Exactly right.
You know, it's just ridiculous. That's no Foursquare. The Foursquare way because if you do it wrong, it's not going to work. You do the Foursquare properly, it will work. It's going to be a great concept.
Let's take a basic of the Foursquare real quick here, guys. Real quick here. I think I'm on the echo with Matt. I think me and him probably were from the same mom and dad or something. But let me tell you something. You know, the 4 elements of a car deal is what the Foursquare does: trade, cash down, payment, price, and payment. And then where the handwritten one does, it isolates each one of those things one at a time. We come together with the customer on their trade before we go down. Then all of a sudden we start talking about cash down. That's all we're talking about. And then all of a sudden we run down those payments, and then like I said, we short-term payments and silver talk by times 3, and then saying, okay, here we go. This is what it is. Yes, it's a higher payment. It's short-term because they can pay it off quicker if they want to. If they want to stretch it out, we can stretch this term out, but we at least get that number. Now, if you've got a printed out Foursquare, like what you're saying, is that you got all these numbers all at one time, then that's the reason why people don't sell cars when they do, because they're giving the customer too much information. Now, and when you make many...
How does a printed out Foursquare have more numbers on it than a handwritten Foursquare?
Give me that piece of paper, and I'll take it home and talk to my wife.
Well, that's what a normal handwritten Foursquare does. You guys, this isn't making sense. This isn't making sense. There's no difference whether it be computer-generated or handwritten. A Foursquare is a Foursquare. They can leave with the same numbers.
No, what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Foursquare is free of storage.
What I'm saying is having, when you go to pencil a deal, you go in and you look at...
We don't go.
You go to look at price. You put your money down. You do everything you do. What I'm saying is, how many different places do you have to look at to get that information?
Yeah. How much does it cost me for one green marker? Now, but think of this. This is what you guys don't get. Ink is the most expensive thing in the auto industry. Mail and paper is the second most expensive. Okay. You want me to print Foursquares that I can take a Sharpie and write in 3 minutes? It'll take me longer to put all your crap in. I can literally. This is a problem, and maybe not everybody has dealers that are trained like us. We just did 44 cars on Friday, sitting literally with one laptop, one iPad, and one finance girl, and we didn't pre-look at crap. We pulled a bureau, and they were 580. We used 580 interest rates. That's the pencil.
Keep saying green markers.
But what I'm saying though is let's isolate these items here. If you go to pencil a deal right now with Ford, you run a Vincent, I'm assuming, you get the invoice, so you know what the MSRP is. You have a stock number, so you know what the vehicle is. You probably look at how many days in stock it was, right? So that way you kind of know how to structure it. I mean, there are certain things you do in order to start that pencil. You don't just wing it from your head and say, I'm going to put down $400 a month, right?
No.
On a new car, a guy's going to show up to my new car desk with an invoice and a Vincent. And in 3 seconds, I'm going to plug in MSRP on both my lease line and in my full sticker line. I'm going to take 10% MSRP, throw it down, and I'm going to give a guy a payment.
Right, but how do you calculate the payment for the lease, and how do you calculate the payment for the loan, and where do you get the incentives from?
Hey, Marsh, what do you think? Marsh, why don't you jump in here real quick?
Because that's what compliance is actually worth. And the lease is done off the lease factor, and it's done like our first pencil matrix is done every time with 1% added to the lease factor.
What do you plug those numbers into? What widget do you plug those numbers into?
Your TMS, that company you're paying a fortune for. Reynolds, ADP, Arcona, whoever you're plugging your numbers into.
Do Reynolds and ADP and Arcona? So, no, I get that. The DMS, that's fine. But do they pull in all the incentives, both regional and national? Do they pull in the days of inventory? Do they pull in all the lenders?
No one pulls it in properly. And you don't need the lenders, but that's the thing. I don't care about any lender at all on my first pencil. I'm not calling the dealer in before I give them a pencil.
Do you care about a credit score on it?
Days in stock doesn't mean
we pull a credit bureau and that's it. You can pull a bureau and we desk it off the matrix.
Come on. So you're telling me before you even pencil a customer, you're going to pull their bureau, they give you their credit to pull it before you give them the pencil?
100% of the time when they walk into the building, we sit down, fill out a Foursquare, and actually have them electronically sign a credit application on our iPad in the showroom.
Oh, that's
so wait a minute, wait.
But
So you use an iPad in the showroom, which is phenomenal, but everybody's saying that technology is no good. You're having them sign virtual.
Well, let me cut in here for a minute, guys. Hey, guys, Bobby, let me cut in for 1 second. Let me cut in for 1 second because I want to. This is great. I mean, this is what the show is about, by the way. First of all, and I mean, I can sit here and listen to you guys. I want to be able to give Kamani and Marsh, let them get in here as well, because I know Kamani, was that you that answered a couple minutes ago? Or that commented? Yeah. Okay, I want to make sure. I want to say this. Obviously, nobody on the panel thinks technology is bad. I mean, we're not. Listen. I mean, this is the sheer fact that we're on the air. We're sitting here texting, iPhone, tweeting, and whatever. Then obviously that we agree with technology. So I think the dynamic. And by the way, Matt, I want to read the tweet because I know that I know you're a client, obviously of Chris's and so forth, and but I want to read what I sent back, or the tweet was sent back that said, because it said makes customers. This is from the CEO. Think we're in the Stone Ages. I think that's what you said, dinosaur. But I think it was Stone Age, and it said I guess 500 delivered per month in Michigan, town of 12,000, and top 3. Which, by the way, actually that was incorrect at the time of the tweet. Even because I read recently that you are top pre-owned, certified pre-owned dealership in the Midwest. Am I right on that? One of the top.
Yeah, no, okay. We were number 1 in Midwest and like 3 and 6 all year in the nation. But
okay, and then he said David, the response back, Matt, was, let me just read this and you can comment. It says actually that's complacency at its best. Chris, you said this. There's no room for complacency. Now, we're all grown men here on the phone, and we all want to see the business move forward. I mean, and so I'm going to, Marsh, if you want to jump in, I'll give you a second here. If not, I want to let these guys keep talking. I just wanted to jump in there and really, I just wanted to jump in there. So go ahead. That's all, really.
Hey, one question he was talking about, you want to know how many, and this one blew my mind away. You sent in all this information. It said, wouldn't you like to know how many days in stock it is before you cut your first pencil? What kind of BS is that? I mean, you know what?
I could care less.
Because it's an old age unit, you're going to pull your pants down right out of the gate. I'm going to treat that car like it's fresh.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Been on the lot for a while. I mean, that's ludicrous. I mean, you don't
the same story. It's the thing that the dealers and the third-party vendors have got to come together on. They hire
car guy.
Say that again?
Ex-car guys try to go run third-party vendors, and they think that they've been in it. But then what happens is the disconnect.
You're a technical geek. I don't know, but you're not a car guy.
No, you're not though, Chris. Let me speak in. Chris, you work inside of stores, right?
A couple.
I was a general manager for the last 6 years. I took over. I'm executive manager certified for Nissan and for Chevrolet. So
you worked with the Ganley Automotive Group, right, Chris? You worked with.
You've been out of the business, but you've been out of the business for how long? You've been outside of the store for how long?
I don't think anybody here, if you're on, is out of the business. I've been with Dealer Checker. We've been with the Staluppi group. We've been with the Open Road group. We're in a lot of the bigger groups in the Northeast region.
How'd that work out?
We go into dealerships that have. It's been doing great. Because we go into some of them and they have the most high-tech, facility. They have computers in each person's desk, and we still show them how to work the Foursquare, even with all information right here in front of them on the desk. So they have the rentals with their salespeople, and they have all that information for them.
You know how many days stock is on its first pencil? That's the craziest thing I ever heard. You lost me at that one.
I think.
Well, Chris, you've been out of the.
Just because the car's been there.
Chris, you've been out of the business for a year and a half. So you sat behind. Obviously, you sat in the position of a desk. Well, I mean, do you even see though? Are you understanding? You got two guys that are extremely successful. I know Marsh as well. He's listening right now. But you got a couple guys.
Well, I could appreciate that. And I was successful at the store level too. My only point is, intelligently desking a deal. I'm not taking anything away from how you guys were doing it whatsoever. That's how I did it. I was an ADP dealer. I didn't even use order quote. I went into the L screen, the P screen. I did my thing. My point is, entering a term, entering a money factor, entering a residual, doing all that takes time.
But here's what you don't get, Chris. We've been down this road.
If you don't want to print
we'll take the challenge. You can put me in a desk and your best person that runs your tool. Whoever works for your company that can use your tool the best in the world. And I will take my sales guy with an invoice in Vincent, and I'll let you try to use your tool. And I'll bet you every time that my payment's faster, that my deal's just as proper, and that I close at higher gross and quicker. We've all been down the road on the auto pencil tools, and they don't actually do what you guys sell it on. They end up taking longer to do a car deal and cost us more from buying ink and paper and everything else. Can you imagine, guys? Listen to this. First pencil, I got to print a piece of paper. I got to use the ink for a piece of paper. Second pencil, I got to print another piece of paper. Third pencil, I got to print a piece.
You do that same thing longhand. You still use a piece of
no
paper.
Way.
And
I use one Foursquare, and then I cross it out, and then I fold a corner, and then I fold another corner.
I think you could do that with the piece of paper printed out from the tool itself. Or you could go virtual. What about virtual desking? You use an iPad. What if you get rid of all the ink and all the paper? You use an iPad to sign the virtual credit apps. What if you did wireless desking? What if you did it that way? What if you went out with an iPad and put it in front of a customer and had them do that?
Because now I actually have to have 36 iPads in order to work 36 deals on Saturday, and now I'm once again overloading information in front of them. So I got a sales guy who's not trained enough
what you put in front of them. It's whatever you're going to draw on the paper. It's whatever you're going to actually sketch on the paper. You can say
well, why can't you just change the payment? Why can't you just change the payment right now, sales guy?
Right, because
I can't do that. I have to walk back to my desk with my iPad.
Right.
I think the thing that
what were we going to say, Bobby?
All that stuff in front of them with the customer. It's just like it's an overload. Where's the salesperson that's not trained?
Here, let me ask a question because I can't hear what everybody's.
Yeah, you're a little bit muted.
I just want to ask a question. Is it overload when your salespeople show how to use Bluetooth? Is it overload when your salespeople show how to use navigation? Is it overload when your salespeople show how to do home? I mean, all these things didn't exist.
Hold on, guys.
Things evolved.
So let's
when you show those items,
hey guys,
difference of numbers in front of them, or you turn the screen towards the customer.
Kamani.
Hey,
Kamani.
Kamani,
we're having a hard time hearing you. It's kind of a little bit muffled. So say that again. He asked a question, and he said, is it overload showed on Bluetooth and this and that? I heard someone say that's after the deal, after the car's sold, and you were saying, I'll give you the floor to answer that, but you got to speak a little clearer. I can't hear the muffledness.
Yeah, that's a process. After they buy the car, it's each thing one after the other. But when you have all this stuff in front of them on one screen with all these numbers, the client's looking at it and looking like baffled, like, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? But then they're going to have all this information. I guess you're going to have salespeople that are trained to do F&I sitting with a client with all this information.
Okay. And Chris?
It's just unbelievable.
Chris, do you have any comment to that?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
This is all because guys, I got to get off. So let me do this though. For me, here's the biggest thing all you listeners can listen to, because whether you're a third-party guy that is trying to learn from what these guys are battling their dealers on, or you're a dealer, third-party companies need to get off their pedestal and start to realize that we write checks to you. And until you listen more to the dealer and stop trying to create something that we're not asking for, you're going to continue to have these debates. All right? The next step is yes, any dealer that will survive in the next 5 to 10 years better embrace this shit. Sorry to swear. We're on web air. I got to swear.
Yeah,
they better embrace technology beyond reality. My younger brother could probably do a startup on any one of these iMagic Labs or Dealer Check things in 6 minutes. He's a tech whiz. So yes, we embrace it. But what I'm saying is you cannot over-embrace technology and forget about what the base of the car business is. And that's involving the customer and the 4 key elements. And I personally will go until like I said, until Mr. Obama and his squad says, hey, you're not allowed to handwrite them, my store, and next year we'll get it up to $600 a month, is going to handwrite every one of those damn things.
All right.
First, before you get off, let me just say before you get off. Listen, that's the basis of Dealer Checker. We go in and we make sure we train the salesperson to know to deal with a Foursquare. We're not going in there to change the way of how you want to do maybe the older style things or to just bring technology. We try to make sure your salesperson is prepared. And that's the main thing here. Whether you want to go technology full-fledged or use the Foursquare, no matter what, if your salesperson is trained properly, the Foursquare to me will always be a great thing because it makes you interact. And this is what we pledge here at David Doxey Inc. is interacting with the client. And guess what? You can just give out.
But you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay to be able to do that.
This is Marsh.
I'm just saying, you're saying that because the car's been there old in stock, you go with a different number because it's an old.
Let me give you
based on that.
Go ahead, Marsh.
Let me give you a quick analogy.
Sell the product. Oh, sorry about it. I have all my guys go out and sell the product.
Sure.
Not worrying about how long the car has been in stock, so they can give it away for me to pay them.
And just so our listeners are clear, that's Kamani Pitkin. He's the director of operations for Dealer Checker. He and Chris are not the same company, and Chris is with iMagic Lab. But Marsh at Mark's, man, I'm getting tongue tied. Marsh at Mark's Chrysler Dodge. Marsh, you were going to say?
No, here's the analogy. Number one, I think the reason why dealers kick back is the way I don't even know the gentleman's name. The way he jumped into the conversation. No, I'm saying the original tweet.
Yeah,
that's the
Richard.
thing that if you're going to impress me, then don't insult me. And so, but here's the analogy that I always like to look at. Years ago, IBM. Went against one of the top test players in the world, and no matter how many programs they put into the IBM, it was IBM Blue, I think is what it was called. The guy, the human, actually beat the machine, and it's the same thing. It's the people on the desk who work with their salespeople that control the deal. I do a printed Foursquare. But I do one through Excel just because people can't read my handwriting. Okay, but when it comes back to the desk, I use handwritten and I write it from there. I think we're overanalyzing it with days in stock. I think that's the human factor. That's the reason why you have people on the desk. That's why you have guys on the desk that have decades of experience to use their thousands and thousands of relations with customers to help control the deal and point it in the right direction.
Okay,
I agree with that. And here's my only thing though. And again, this got completely twisted and off track. Here's my only thing: getting the information, getting the invoice, getting the credit, getting a rate, getting everything, incentives with Ford Vincent, you name it. Getting all that stuff, putting it all together to populate a Foursquare, whether it be in Excel, handwritten, in a tool, whatever, but to put it all into a decision matrix and have it spit out an answer, you're going to 5 different places to get that stuff. We all can agree on that.
But your Vincent's not going to talk about the competitive lease conquest rebate on the very bottom. So no matter what, I'm going to have a physically printed Vincent to check to see if I can college grade.
That's true.
Exactly.
You have to have that.
What I'm
so
saying,
no matter what, I'm going to do a double entry. And so no matter what, why waste the money on the software? Because all I need is my Vincent, my invoice, and my Sharpie marker. But you don't get it.
Guys, we're missing the one point. We're missing the one point. How do you calculate all your numbers at that point? You
put them in DMS that you already have to pay for. You're already paying for your DMS at that point.
Let me say
how will it help you sell more cars?
Then I have a DMS I'm paying thousands of dollars for.
I'm not agreeing with that, but what I'm saying is if the DMS doesn't have that conglomeration of information together, the DMS doesn't have all those items together.
But it doesn't take that long to populate. Anyways, and in order to get your A-plan deal claimed and Vincent and funded and locked in, no matter what, you have to go into Vincent Tool, and you're going to have a printed Vincent locked in with exactly what it requires to keep inside of a plan deal jacket or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what,
the next
I'm going to have to do all that stuff 3 times.
Hey guys,
guys,
I know some of you got to go, and we got about literally 3 or 4 more minutes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give each of you a last word. I'm going to start with Kamani. I'm going to give you Kamani. Take 30 seconds and just say.
David, I'm going to let the guys do it on their own. I already spoke my piece.
Okay,
thank you very much for having us on the air.
No problem,
folks. Once again, if you got to ask Matt Lasco a question, email me directly at mlasco@lascoford.com. Gentlemen that spoke with me today, it was a pleasure to meet you on the phone, Chris and Imani, Bruce and Bobby, and you guys. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Matt. All right, we're going to start. Kamani, I'm going to give you 30 seconds here. Go ahead and just say your piece, and then we're going to move down the line. Kamani?
I just want to say, listen, it's always great to have that extra, personal touch or that technology to help you out. But at the same time, overloading sometimes is just not necessary. We here at the David Doxing Inc., we always just train our salespersons to know to go back with the Foursquare. I think it's a great tool. It always has been and always will be. It's something that I don't think will ever really fail. If the salesperson is trained, they will not fail to go back and present the numbers properly. You overload the client with the information, they're just going to ask more questions. You can have, like, in certain places, you have either you can take the 0% or you can take the 1750 in money. It's the difference. When the customer asks at that point, then you can let the client know the way I work the deal for you is with the money down. If you want, we can change the deal. But if the customer just wanted to go with just numbers printed out, they can stay home and email back and forth to the dealership. They go to the dealership for that personal touch, for somebody to pencil them, for them to mark out and to negotiate right there with the salesperson. That's what I believe, and that's why we always stand by here at Dealer Checker.
Thank you, Kamani. Bobby Collins?
Yeah, guys, and it was great talking to you. It's fun. It's fun to get in this. But I think, a couple things. I guess everybody works their fourth quarter a little differently, and mine is totally different. We don't do all that he said the salesman presented. We train the salesman. We train the salespeople to how to get when it comes back, when our Foursquare comes back, it's a commitment from the customer on their trade, their cash down, and their payment. I mean, it's their commitment. Now we work the deal, but we try to start the deal first, just the opposite of what almost every one of you are talking about. I guarantee you the car people on this phone understand why Matt Lasco, I wish he was still on the phone, he said it several times, and I guarantee it, the computer, no offense by this, but computer geeks and software nerds did not get that he kept saying a green Sharpie. And I promise you this, car guys know what he was meaning by the green Sharpie. You other guys ain't got a clue. You know it, and I know it. Why did he say green Sharpie? Why did he say that?
Green means go.
Well, I mean, it's human reaction. I mean, we're taking the element. Y'all guys are trying to get too smart. You're stupid. I mean, I love technology. Don't tell you. I'm talking on an iPhone, 5S. It doesn't matter. The thing is that the human interaction going back and forth, customers love this, okay? If you're going to put all the information on one sheet, one time for them, it's information overload, exactly what Matt said. Yeah. And I got the salespeople going in back and forth until they bring it to the desk. We have a commitment from the buyer already, his numbers, every one of those, the trade, the cash down, and the payment with a commitment signed by the customer. Now we work the deal. I don't know where y'all talking about having all this. That's the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. Now, my sister store does it, and I get those little piece of paper, nice and printed out, not all information overload. We sell cars I feel like I got to send them bird dogs because they come over here with all this information. They're confused. We slow them back down again and commit them, and we sell them a car.
Chris,
so, I mean, that's what it is. But
Chris, I'm going to give you 30 seconds here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and everybody was great. I mean, talking to obviously auto pros. The information overload thing I get, but you control what prints out, and I don't disagree. This got a little sensationalized, and I don't know why, but I don't disagree. I think the next evolution is to get rid of paper and cut it all together, not even print it out. That's what is going to happen, whether we like it or not. It's no different than e-contracts, and it's no different than e-funding. You're essentially going to be moving away from all that, and everything's going to just be in a virtual world. So just because we're not ready for it now, let's revisit this 5 years from now and see how we're doing it.
Awesome.
Okay.
And
Marsh, David, just want to say also.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Marsh, you still on?
No, I just wanted to say real quickly,
Yep.
Thanks for having me. And as far as that green thing on there, where you're thinking those guys that are not in the car business don't do it. Well, here at David Doxing, we actually sit in at dealerships. We have our guys go out and sit in at a dealership, and they actually sit down and pencil deals rather than in there. So even though we're not in the dealership, I've just been out like a few months, but we're still there. We sit down each weekend or sometimes during the week, and we're the ones there penciling the deals, showing them how to do it. And listen, I do not disagree. Mm-hmm. Not because we're not a dealership. I don't disagree. The interactive part of it is always going to be a great part. The customer wants to interact. As I said once again, if they didn't want to interact, we'd have kiosks in every dealership, and we just wouldn't need people there. It's as simple as that.
All right. And Marsh, I'm going to give you the last word.
Again, I think it just goes back to how the original tweet went out, that it was more of an attack than an assist. And so, I think it really depends on the culture of the store. But it all goes down to, and we're all agreeing to the one thing, that it all has to do with the human interaction. And, to pay somebody with the tools that you already have, in my opinion, is just a little bit needless from there. So everybody's got a different opinion, and I respect that.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate you being on the phone. I'm going to quickly just give you a rundown again who it was. It was Matt Lasko, Vice President of Lasko Ford and Lasko of Grand Blanc in Fenton and Grand Blanc, Michigan. Kamani Pitkin, the Director of Operations for Dealer Checker. There can be reached at dealerchecker.com. We have Chris Vitale, which is the Vice President of Sales for iMagic Lab, and it is imagiclab.com. And we have Marsh Bice, the General Sales Manager of Mark Chrysler Dodge in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Bobby Collins, General Manager of Coconut Point Ford in Ostera, Florida. I want to thank the guys for being on the phone. I appreciate it, guys. I hope you have a great week and have a great close to the month. Thank you for being on, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've been listening to Auto Dealer Live, and what a great show. I mean, listen, I thought I had to ask my producer and look over and say, hey, am I on mute? Because I couldn't get a word in edgewise. But you know what? That's what it's all about. You don't want to hear me. Listen, I learned something, and I hope you did as well. And there's nothing like a great spirited debate with what's hot right now in the automotive industry. Listen, we can talk about a lot of crap, but what's hot in the automotive industry right now is what you just heard, because these are car guys. These are guys on the front line, and they're all technology driven. If you want to tweet about the show, it's been blowing up and kind of going here as we were on air. Hashtag Auto Dealer Live, and man, let us know what you think. We'd love to hear about what you think. And next week we're going to bring some of these tweets on the air. If you have questions and you'd like to ask a question, you can reach us at 813-476-4235. That's 813-476-4235. 2 weeks from today, we have Grant Cardone, and looking forward to that show. We're going to give Grant the whole show, and he's going to be answering questions live on the air, call-ins from dealers across the nation. That's Grant Cardone. That's October 31st. Don't forget next week, and we can't wait to have you back with us again. This is David Villa. This is Martin Mounts.
Yes, sir.
And you've been listening to Auto Dealer Live. Have a great week.